You're born in the dark. Not the cozy, comfortable kind of dark, the absolute, suffocating, nothing exists kind of dark, buried several floors beneath the surface in a chamber that smells like wet dirt and something that died last Tuesday. There's no soft light, no warm greeting, no gradual introduction to the world. One moment you don't exist and the next you do, wedged between 1,000 identical sisters who all have the same exact face as you. Welcome to the colony. You didn't choose this, but that's fine. Because choice is not something your biology budgeted for. You're a worker ant. That title sounds vaguely respectable until you understand what it actually means, which is essentially that you are a piece of living machinery that will work every waking hour of your short, brutal life without wages, breaks, vacation days, or the faintest possibility of a promotion. Your first act on this earth is to climb. An older worker finds you, scrapes the crusty remnants of your cocoon off your antennae, and moves on, completely unbothered. No ceremony, no orientation packet. You get one chemical pulse through your nervous system that essentially says up, and your legs just start moving. You ascend through absolute blackness, squeezing through tunnels packed so tight you can feel every surface simultaneously. By the time you reach the surface hole and the sunlight hits your compound eyes for the very first time, it's not beautiful. It's blinding. It's like staring directly into a flashbulb going off 2 inches from your face. You stumble out into the open air, overwhelmed and completely disoriented, and before you've had a single second to process any of it, your antennae lock onto a seed fragment the size of a small building, and your legs are already walking toward it. The seed weighs 50 times what you do. You know this because every joint in your body screams the moment you try to lift it. Your claws scramble against loose sand, and each grain beneath you is basically a boulder you're trying to grip with microscopic hooks. You're hauling dead weight across a landscape that looks, from your vantage point, like a cracked and ruined desert. Every pebble is a cliff. Every twig is a fallen tree. You inch forward, legs burning, throwing up tiny clouds of dust behind you, and you don't stop. Not because you're heroic or determined, because the chemical command in your nervous system hasn't told you to stop yet. Here's the part where it gets genuinely funny, though. You don't eat the food. You can't eat the food. You have a secondary stomach specifically designed to store food in transit, which means you're a living, breathing delivery container that is physically hardwired to never enjoy the cargo. You haul nutrition-rich plant fluid all the way back down into the dim underground chambers, find a hungry sibling, and regurgitate it directly into their mouth. That's the job. You are functionally an unpaid delivery driver who isn't allowed to taste the food and gets no tip. You'll do this thousands of times. You'll never get used to it, mostly because getting used to it isn't in your programming either. By the time a few weeks have passed, you've developed a kind of mechanical rhythm. You emerge, you find something, you carry it back, you hand it off, you go again. The surface is chaotic and the tunnels are cramped and nothing about this is comfortable. But discomfort isn't really a concept your body registers as worth dwelling on. What it does register, constantly and with complete urgency, is danger. The surface is a horror show at your scale. A raindrop isn't a minor inconvenience, it's a liquid cannonball falling from the sky at terminal velocity. It hits the dirt next to you, and the shockwave alone is enough to flip you sideways. A direct hit is genuinely catastrophic. You've watched it happen. One of your sisters gets clipped by a drop and just spins off into a puddle the size of a dinner plate, which from where you're standing is essentially an inland sea. Then there are the humans. You're walking a perfectly reliable pheromone trail one afternoon, minding your own business, carrying half your body weight in crumb fragments, when the ground starts vibrating. That's the only warning you get. A shadow blots out the sun, a rubber sole the size of an entire city block descends from the sky, and then the world explodes. The shoe lands close enough that the displaced air hits you like a wall. You go airborne, spinning through a completely unrecognizable landscape, and crash into a crack in the earth a full body length away from where your trail used to be. When you shake the dust loose and look around, the trail is gone. The chemical markers have been pulverized. You don't know where you are. You wander in widening circles, antennae sweeping desperately, until you pick up a faint, familiar scent, and your legs just follow it automatically. No panic. No existential crisis. Your nervous system doesn't really support existential crises. That's honestly the one upside. If you think the elite classes of your colony are living better, think again. The male drones get wings, which sounds amazing until you understand what the wings are for. They exist for exactly one purpose: to fly into a chaotic aerial frenzy, find a queen, mate mid-flight, and then immediately die. Their internal organs literally give out the moment the job is done. They drop out of the sky like discarded wrappers. No aftermath, no second act. The entire story of a male drone is basically a single chapter that ends abruptly mid-sentence. The queen, meanwhile, is not relaxing on a throne somewhere. She's buried alive. After surviving the mating flight, she lands, rips her own wings off with her legs, just tears them right out, and buries herself in the dirt. She seals the entrance behind her and spends the next 3 decades in total darkness, using her own disintegrating wing muscles as food while she produces millions of eggs. She is not powerful. She's a prisoner in a chamber of her own making, surrounded by her own children, who will keep her alive specifically to keep producing more children. If you had to describe her living situation, luxury wouldn't be the first word that comes to mind. Your own day to day is a lower stakes version of the same grim comedy. The beetles alone are worth mentioning. Big, armored, indifferent beetles that wander through your foraging route and clip through your sisters with jaws like wire cutters, not even breaking stride. Birds drop out of the sky and pluck foragers from the trail like picking raisins out of a bowl. And then there are the anteaters. You've never personally survived a full anteater encounter because no one does. They peel back the surface like opening a can, push a sticky, fleshy tongue into the tunnel entrance, and pull. Thousands gone in a single pull. The colony seals the breach and keeps moving. That's the answer to everything: seal the breach and keep moving. But none of that compares to the fungus. One morning, a microscopic spore lands on your exoskeleton, and you don't feel it. That's the part that makes it so deeply unsettling. You don't feel it. Over the next few days, it germinates quietly, threading pale tendrils through your shell and into your soft tissues. It avoids anything vital at first. It needs you walking. It needs you functional just long enough to carry it somewhere useful. Then the threads reach your brain, and the chemicals come, and suddenly your legs are moving somewhere they've never moved before, away from the trail, away from your sisters, toward a damp stalk of grass at the edge of the clearing. Your own legs betray you. That's the part that doesn't compute. You can feel yourself walking, but the decision to walk isn't yours anymore. The fungus climbs you up the stalk like you're a vehicle it's driving. It pushes you to a precise height, a specific temperature and humidity zone it's calculated, and then it makes you bite down on the central vein of a leaf. Permanent. Locked. Your mandibles clamp shut and don't release. You're frozen there, watching the light change as the sun moves across the sky. The fungus finishes the job overnight, solidifying your muscles, turning your body rigid. A few days later, a dark stalk splits through the back of your head and releases a fresh cloud of spores into the air, raining down onto the sisters foraging below. The colony has learned to recognize the posture of the infected, that specific wrong angle on the stalk, and drags the afflicted away before the spores drop. Sometimes they catch it in time. Sometimes they don't. You, the one reading this, are not that ant. You made it. You survived the rain and the beetles and the shoe and the endless grinding haul of 1,000 seeds carried across 1,000 cracked desert floors. Your body wears out eventually, because that's just the contract you signed by existing, and when it does, you don't get a quiet moment under a shady tree. You get carried out by the Undertaker cast, deposited in the refuse pile, and replaced before the chemical trail you used to walk even fades. Somewhere in the nursery chambers, a new batch of workers is already drying their antennae, about to receive that first chemical pulse that says climb. They don't know what's waiting for them up top. They're going anyway.